Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, go-to-market leaders around the world. Welcome to the Innovation Fireside, where we bring together market leaders, experts, and hands-on practitioners to discuss the latest trends in go-to-market technology. I'm Tyler Lessard, CMO at Technology Advice, and I'll be your host and moderator for today's discussion. Now, if you're not familiar with Technology Advice, we're one of the largest technology media publishers with an editorial team of more than 200 researchers, writers, and industry experts. We cover the latest business technology news and product innovations across our portfolio of media sites, including Tech Republic, eWeek, Selling Signals, Fit Small Business, and of course, Technology Advice. Our mission is to help business leaders like yourselves make the right technology buying decisions by staying well-informed and up to date on the latest tech trends and product innovations. In today's fireside discussion, brought to you in partnership with the fine folks at Acton Software, we'll be diving into MarTech innovation, exploring how forward-looking marketing teams are deploying AI, automation, and data-driven workflows to boost buyer engagement, to drive sales and marketing alignment, and to create new value for their organizations. All things that I'm sure are top of mind for go-to-market leaders across the globe. We will also be answering questions from our live audience. So if you are joining us live, please say hello in the comments. We'd love to hear from you. Share your ideas and your perspectives as we go, and ask any questions that you may have that relate to today's discussion, and we'll do our best to answer those here or offline afterwards. And now, I'd love to introduce our esteemed group of panelists for our session today, who collectively bring roughly 486 years of B2B marketing experience to this discussion. Our first panelist is the founder and CEO of Tactical Marketing, Phil Easley-Bosley. Phil's been helping businesses optimize their marketing automation strategy for the last 20 years. Phil, could you please introduce yourself and share a bit more about Tactical Marketing?
Absolutely. Hey, Tyler, and to everybody here. I am Phil Easley-Bosley. And yeah, I have been, actually, I counted right before we got on the webinar today, 26 years since I took my first marketing gig. In that time, I've had the opportunity to review roughly 2,500 companies' marketing and marketing plans. Large part of that is because of some experience working with Acton Software and their customer base. I think I've written somewhere in the neighborhood of 500 actual organizational marketing plans. Wow. And yeah, I, as the founder and CEO of Tactical, I run a marketing ops focused agency where we serve as the fractional CMO for a bunch of organizations, the contract marketing departments for some organizations, and add on as marketing ops for many other organizations. So we have a lot of excitement around this space and these topics. So thanks for letting us join today.
Amazing. Connect with Phil if you haven't already on LinkedIn. I'm going to introduce our second panelist now, Clark Newby. Clark is a legendary CMO with over 25 years of experience driving category creation. Sorry, Clark, and revenue growth at B2B tech companies. He's the founder and principal of JCN Advisory and the host of what will soon be your favorite podcast, if it isn't already. Clark, could you please share a bit more about yourself?
Absolutely. Thanks, Tyler. Unlike Phil, I don't think about how many years I've been doing this. My therapist has said that's just not a constructive process for me. But I've been doing this a long time and been run marketing for B2B SaaS leaders in the enterprise space like Intact and Workday and stuff before that. For the last 8 years or so, I've been advising and consulting with fast growth tech companies, primarily in the B2B space, but mid-market and enterprise. And it's just given me a great opportunity to see a lot and to share what I've learned. And most recently, Leadtail has been kind enough to ask me to host their Tomorrow's Best Practices Today podcast. So a lot of the things that we'll be sharing today, some come from the musty long career, some come from the great conversations I'm having on the podcast. So yeah, I welcome you guys all to join us there as well.
Terrific. Tomorrow's best practices today, the podcast. Go check it out, sign up, and be sure to follow and connect with Clark as well. And finally, I am thrilled to introduce Jeff Day, the Chief Marketing Officer at Acton Software, who also brings 25 years of experience in B2B marketing leadership. Jeff, could you please introduce yourself, share a bit more about Acton Software?
Absolutely. Thank you, Tyler. Yeah, I think Clark and I are following the same playbook. Once you hit 25 years, you stop counting and say, yeah, it's over. It's been a long time. I'll start with a little bit about myself. Yeah, I like to say I fell backwards into marketing. I started out as an engineer and did my first decade there, and then decided I wanted to move more into the business side of things, and went through product management and suddenly found myself in what we called at the time outbound marketing. But all the sort of true marketing, demand generation, communication, all that stuff. And I've been doing that for 25 years or so, working primarily in B2B, but across a whole bunch of industries, cybersecurity, sales enablement, marketing automation, IT, financial management, a whole bunch of stuff. So seen a lot of different playbooks and different companies, and really love working in this sort of high growth space, helping companies go from startup to, hopefully the next unicorn. A little bit about Acton. Acton's a leading marketing automation software. We aspire and drive to be the easiest to use and most intelligent marketing automation platform. And that's really true to our roots. As they started the company 15 years ago, they were really targeting making marketing automation simple and powerful for the mid-market organizations. And I think that is even more relevant today, as many of sort of the first generation marketing automation solutions have just gotten more and more complex. We're really trying to continue to innovate and to make our software easier. We believe software, and marketing automation included, should work for you, not the other way around. So we want to make marketing teams grow and scale and take advantage of a lot of the technology trends that we're going to talk about today, but do it in a way that you don't need to hire a ton of consultants. Nothing intended, Phil. But we want to make it such that mid-market companies, enterprise companies, without years of certification and all the expertise that Phil has, can run their own marketing automation campaigns and programs and take advantage of this technology.
That's fantastic. Well, we're really excited to kick off the conversation, and to build on what you're saying. I think we are in a time where we need to find ways to unlock the power and the value of everybody in our marketing team, and having tech and tools that allow each of us to do that, to be able to dive in, to be able to leverage the capabilities without requiring a huge team around us, I think is so important, and is happening in all parts of technology right now. So let's start off there and talk a little bit about the state of marketing automation and some of the tech innovation that we're seeing this year. Now, we all know that marketing tech's moving at lightning speed, and has been for the last couple of years. We've got things like AI and intent data and automation. They are all like genuinely rewriting marketing playbooks at companies. I'm curious for each of you to help us out and understand, what technology shifts are you seeing that are actually having the biggest impact on the marketing automation space right now? Jeff, I'd love to start with yourself.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, there's a lot going on. Three things come to mind: AI, of course, and then the convergence of ABM and sort of the MQL worlds. And it is a convergence. This idea that it's one versus the other, I think, is just insane. It's a convergence, and you're going to be much more effective if you start to think of them working together. And then personalization. Personalization is something we've been driving at for a long, long time, to varying degrees of success. And I think we're at an opportunity right now to really take it to the next level and make it, the goal of personalization is to make it more relevant to the person you're trying to communicate with and engage with. And I think being able to do that on a much higher level is going to be interesting. But I also want to jump back quickly to AI, and I'm going to kick this off to the rest of the group. Like, AI isn't just the elephant in the room. It's the blue whale. It's the it's the tribbles. If any of you are fans of original Star Trek, it's going to permeate everything we do, and it's not just one piece of software. It's a species of software. It's a technology that's going to have little implications and applications everywhere. And we're putting it, our philosophy at Acton is like, we're rewriting our software. We're not creating a co-pilot or something that's going to be your AI solution. We are rewriting AI into the software because it's going to automate marketing automation in every step. And we're super excited about, the little things that we can bring to life, whether it's around data management or brand coherence or identifying email bot filters and taking that out of your analytics. Those are very point solutions, as well as being able to create agents that do the more mundane process work of marketing automation for you much more quickly, efficiently, so that the humans can continue to focus on the creation and the decisions and the ideas of the campaigns that they want to run. And then AI is just going to help them implement those campaigns faster. But I mean, we've got two other experts in the room too. I'd love to hear their opinion on what trends they see their clients implementing.
Yeah, that's great. Why don't I bring Phil onto the virtual stage to build on that? And I certainly want to double down on what Jeff was saying with regards to AI not being a siloed application, but and I'm seeing it in our own organization and our customers as well, that it is being woven into virtually every aspect of how marketing is working. And it's not only about driving efficiency, but it's also about creating new opportunities, new productivity, and even new capabilities in the teams, which is really, really interesting. Phil, I want to pass it over to yourself to maybe build on that, maybe what you're seeing either in AI or if there are other technologies you're seeing that are actually having that big impact right now for teams in 2025.
Yeah, so really interesting. And I think piggybacking on what Jeff said, I'm a huge advocate for personalization as I think through like the future of marketing as personal, as a one-on-one conversation at scale is like the goal. With that said, I think that AI is not just changing the technology. I think AI is changing marketers. Like I have told my customers, my clients, and the people I do consulting for, that 10 years from now, 5 years from now, 2 years from now, my job as it existed in 2020 doesn't exist anymore. AI as a consultant, AI as the innovator, and specifically AI as the customer. Real quick, can you guys still hear me?
Yep.
Okay, perfect. Our lights just went out, so who knows what's up with that?
A little flicker. Mm-hmm.
But using AI for simulated customer interviews, for really understanding the persona and the mindset of our customers and having that surface to us quickly, efficiently, and generating campaign ideas, you becoming more as a marketer the guide of an engine that can think faster than any team I've ever managed is transforming marketing to what was already fast, like already intense, to this lightning pace, and then the ability to deploy that via technology, transformative. That's the future.
Yeah, it's a really big deal because you're right. It's also accelerating things so quickly. Just yesterday, my team was talking about launching a new campaign into a new market segment, and we didn't have a target account list for that segment. And within about an hour, somebody on our team had built a prompted script within ChatGPT itself to go out and find and build a list of 300 to 500 top accounts. And it was like, for me, as somebody who also comes with couple decades of experience, this was like so new for me and also so exciting because it was like, well, this is amazing. Like, can we just launch this campaign tomorrow? And I said it tongue in cheek, but of course they said, actually, we can. Like, here we go. Let's have at it. So, Clark, why don't you hop into the conversation here and give your perspective from what you're seeing in the market and what you're hearing today, where you're seeing AI to have a real impact, or again, are there other things that are really driving personalization or other areas of marketing automation today that get you really excited?
Yeah, sure. Well, first of all, just for the members of our audience who had tribbles and power outage on their bingo cards. I want to take a second, make sure you capture that. It's par for the course with this crowd. Yeah. So first of all, of course, everybody's trying to figure out AI. Everybody's trying to make time to figure out AI, because that's the one thing we don't seem to have been gotten AI to generate is more time for us. So, but even upstream from that, I see folks that I'm working with, clients, having even more pragmatic issues with their tech stack as they're figuring that out. They're trying, some of them still trying to figure out what they've already bought. There was a big run up, right? Over the last 18 months or so, there's a big run up in tech stack. And then there was a big, like, what the hell are we doing with all this tech stack moment in the last year, right? So, the tech stacks have gotten shorter, not taller. People are turning things off without understanding the ramifications. So, it's important for, I guess the one coaching I would give kind of upstream from all this is, as you're digesting AI, as you're figuring out how it's going to enable your folks, how it's going to enable you to do things you couldn't do before, make sure that you're trying to take a unified or at least coordinated implementation strategy. Make sure the stuff that you're getting is actually getting implemented. I can't tell you how many times I'll start, oh, we've got this, we've got that. And it's like, well, but I don't know, we got to talk to chat and IT, I don't like, it doesn't, like, I don't know, you're supposed to just click on it. I'm not sure. Yeah. It seems really fundamental, and I don't mean, I'm not making fun of anybody, but there's so much stuff is in the candy store, right? And so we've got to pick the stuff that's going to help us end to end on improvement and innovation. We don't have a tech stack problem. We don't have an AI problem. We have a business process efficiency problem. So in that, I know we'll talk a lot more about AI. What I see folks doing is, looking at generative AI and trying to figure out, how to use it and accelerate themselves without just creating anodyne, inauthentic content that takes as long to fix and correct and tune and test as the time you saved on the front end. And folks are really trying to look at which part of multi-touch, whether it's personalization, which I think is a great call, but just the multi-touch kind of classic ABM model. What does it look like in an AI world where you can really put aside maybe some of the struggles we've had with scoring, identification, getting the list, AI helping us with that. Those are the real sweet spots that I'm seeing.
Are you all seeing this as an opportunity for teams to almost rethink how they're leveraging marketing automation? Because I know I've faced similar challenges as well, where we're not leveraging it to its full potential. Sometimes you hit some of those roadblocks of we're not even sure what we should be doing or what's coming next. And sometimes it can be hard to almost step back and start with your outcomes in mind, and then thinking through, what do we actually want to do as a next step? I'm just curious for your perspectives on, where we're at in terms of the evolution of marketing automation. Is this a time for folks to be doing that, or should they be rethinking sort of what outcomes they're trying to drive, or is it other technology blockers?
They've had the right outcomes in mind. I mean, so I've kind of been in this advisement role now for almost 8 years. And I talk to folks about what I do, and they're like, oh, so marketing, that's crazy, man. I do a lot of marketing. Yes, all true. But 90% of what I wind up working with folks on, really, you could be baling hay and it would be a problem. You could be doing almost anything. It's alignment across the organization of what you're trying to get done, what your objectives are. And so to what end are you implementing the technology, targeting this profile, crafting this communication, right? And how are we trying to move the business forward? So I think AI comes in, and it's like so many of your assumptions, maybe all of them, but maybe not all of them, but a ton of them are, if they're not out the window, they're up for reconsideration. And so I think that's part of why you're seeing so much AI that I see at least getting injected into MarTech stacks, for example, is through your partners, through your relationship with Act On, for example, your relationship with your CRM system, your relationship with your marketing automation system, so that it can be used as a bolster rather than ripping everything out. Because hopefully you've implemented that with your business processes and your business objectives in mind.
Yeah, if I may build on that, it's pretty in line with what I was going to say. It's like, I don't think marketing automation necessarily is is being changed, because just as Clark's saying, you're still trying to accomplish the same thing. You're trying to engage your target audience, whether that's prospects or existing customers, where they are with the message that resonates with them, personalization, right? So I don't think that's fundamentally changing, and marketing automation is still a very powerful central system for understanding who your customers and prospects are and engaging them. I think what's changing is how we apply AI to be both more efficient and more effective. And to 100% agree with Clark, like, you got to start with alignment and a clear target, and are we all going after the same target market, the same segment, just as you said, are we aligned on what it means to go into a new market? But then where I'm seeing, or I think the evolution of how we deploy AI is both short-term and long-term. There's, just as you said, there's so many amazing things that you can do with AI today. That's a quick win, whether that's knocking out the first draft of a content piece, of a long form content piece in seconds, and then just going through the editorial, or manipulating and cleaning up a huge data set that otherwise would have foiled you, for a week trying to get that set. And then, you've got a much better data set to go after, to use in your marketing. To little things like brand adherence, or empowering your sales team with the sales enablement content at their fingertips. They can just go do a chat search now at our company, because we've put our whole knowledge base into a chat. It wasn't something that we thought we were going to deploy AI for, and it wasn't like on our marketing strategy, but we're like, oh, this is actually really cool and really powerful. And now the sales team can stop calling me and being like, hey, do we have a customer reference for it? Do we have a piece, marketing to financial services, credit unions? Like, ask the chat. So I think, to get off the soapbox and bring this back on topic, it's like, there's going to be a whole bunch of very point solution implementations of AI that are really powerful and help us be more efficient. And as the software vendors of the world start to deploy agents into the software, you can stop spending time building out your segmentation and making sure all the checkboxes are right and all this stuff, and just have a chat conversation. Say, hey, here's my target audience. Here's what I want to include. And it'll does it look like this? Yeah, that looks right. Maybe tweak a couple things. Great. Now, do you want to build a campaign for that? Right. I think it's going to have a 10x efficiency in making teams more efficient in deploying stuff. They still have to have the database. They still have to have the right strategy. They still have to be making their own decisions on who they want to go after and what message and what creative do they want to deploy. It's going to provide the biggest value in making that just faster and more efficient.
So let's talk about the challenges and roadblocks that people are really facing in doing this, because we've talked about, and Jeff and Clark, you gave some really great examples of how, state of the art, where you're leveraging or can be leveraging AI in some cases. We've talked about ABM and MQLs coming together, which I'm also very passionate about. Personalization being, of course, more than just first name, and lots of opportunities there. There are some other things that have happened in the marketing automation space over the last few years that are really driving it forward quickly. But many businesses are struggling to keep up with that. They're facing roadblocks to really modernizing their marketing automation stack. And I'd love to start with Phil on this one. What are you seeing in practice as some of those barriers to doing some of the things that Jeff and Clark are talking about?
Such a good question. And I would say the biggest obstacle to all of this success that we all imagine is right there on the edge is the human part of it. And specifically the change management part of it. I think a lot of marketers, no doubt by now tens of thousands of people that are watching this live, I think a lot of marketers are bought into the vision, to the idea, the possibility of modern marketing, of advanced marketing technologies, of marketing automation and one-to-one. And they hear these types of conversations and they go, yep, that is what I want. That's what I want from my organization. And then they talk about this with their peers that aren't as plugged in to what's possible. And they go, yeah, but is that different? Like, we talk about the convergence of MQL and ABM. And the moment you take that conversation out of this group, this close fireside group that's participating today, both as panelists and participants, nobody knows what those words mean. And we run into these language challenges and these belief challenges. I'm working with a client right now where they have the perfect blueprint. They have engaged with us to help implement that blueprint. And every time we move, an old school CRO shuts everything down. And he wants to revert to, well, I just want to send email and make phone calls. And our partners throughout the business organization are not bought in. And I think, like, that's where Clark is talking about organizationally wrapping ourselves around the business objectives, organizationally wrapping ourselves around how we are going to implement these technologies for a better outcome. And when people believe that that is realistic and possible and attainable, then we as businesses, as organizations, can get out of our own way and really start to move into modern marketing. But it is that change management, those holdouts for the old ways, that I think are keeping organizations and companies from moving as quickly as they could.
And is that something that is happening largely within marketing teams? Is this a sales and marketing and product and go-to-market overall alignment challenge? Maybe, Phil, what are you seeing there? And then Clark, I'd love to hear your perspective as well. I know you work with go-to-market teams, and I think there's a whole conversation around alignment on some of these innovative strategies. So, Phil, what are you seeing there?
Yeah, I think a lot of people have opinions. I think those are. I think
It's a
those
nice way to put it.
A lot of
Yep.
a lot of people have a lot of opinions.
So many opinions, but those opinions tie to our roles and what we need to do. Like, I remember working with a product team, and you're really wanting to put some urgency into the messaging, and their response was, "But that's going to disrupt the tranquility of the app." And so, like, we have different priorities. And we have different objectives. And as a marketer, I want to drive leads, and I want to drive growth, and I want to drive engagement. And sales wants to drive top line revenue, and operations wants to manage, middle line costs. Like, we're all incentivized to care about different parts of the process. And so I think that that's where, like, seeing this not as a they don't get it, but as a how do we manage change? How do we introduce this as part of a greater whole, a more modern, more effective whole, is the conversation that we need to be having.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. I love the bringing forward the change management aspect, because having an automation conversation. I mean, the bugaboo of automation forever, right, has been if you're automating a process or something that sucks, you're just going to get yourself into a ditch, more often and deeper. That is all automation is going to do for you. So, you can automate processes, but you can't automate a desired outcome. So, to the point of change management, it's like, dude, I'm just trying to figure out my tech stack. And the problem is you have to do all of this people stuff too, right? You've got to do all of this management, all of this communication, all of this alignment work, because people have, you've got your strategic, hopefully there are defined strategic objectives and strategies going to follow for the organization as a whole, but each team has different ones. You've got your own KPIs. You've got somebody watching one meter that they're trying to make sure gets to 11, not thinking about the bigger picture. They're not paid enough maybe to think about the big picture. You got to think about how you're managing different levels of the organization. And everybody has a personal agenda, either forward or in the back of their mind, right? So the first step in any of this, right, is to get aligned in the first place. And it doesn't have that much to do with technology. Then the second part, I would say, and where I see people working well through the process is, Dust off your textbooks, kids. And books, by the way, is like they used to print the internet on paper and you'd read through it. And Jeffrey Moore taught us about context versus core, right? What's core to your business and what's the other stuff you have to do to make the business move forward. So, again, from age on, the automation opportunity is to automate context versus the core, make the low value or the time consuming stuff take less effort. And so I really like, Jeff, what you were mentioning of, getting the list. Like now, actually, we hadn't really thought we were going to do this with AI, but it's right here. It's low effort. And I see AI being used for things that are really central and core. That's a lot to get through. There's a lot of context that you can knock down along the way. Something you wouldn't have gotten to, an analysis you wouldn't have done. Maybe adding on, maybe rolling out an extra feature or something. It's like, God, our list is packed. We can't. This is how much marketing can do. Well, we can extend that list or expand that list with AI as well. And so I think it gets you just to kind of try to circle this around. You can't automate. You can automate process, but you can't automate your destination. So you have to do all these, people-oriented stuff to get people aligned. And then you everything doesn't have to be a moonshot for AI. There are lots of places that you can start to work around the edge. And there are a lot of digital natives in your organization that probably have ideas that you need to make sure are getting surfaced as well.
Hey, Tyler, can I ask a quick question of our guests? Like, I think you're spot on there, Phil, Clark, both of you. Do we have any recommendations to our tens of thousands of listeners on how to manage the people issue, how to align the higher ups, how to align your CRO around tech stack or the importance of marketing automation, the importance of AI? Have you seen any winning recipes?
I have. Go ahead.
No, no. Well, I mean, it's a very top-down thing, right? And so one of the things that, and Phil, I'd be interested in hearing how you kind of engage in this in your business. But typically, so I am a consultant and advisor for folks to either take their go-to-market to the next level. Maybe they've got a challenge that they're trying to assess, figure out do they have the right people on the bus? Do they have the right technology? Are they going after the right stuff? Are they saying the right things? Are they thinking the right way about themselves? And so I am always careful to make sure that I'm engaged with the CEO in those conversations, because those things all sound like marketing headaches, marketing assignments, but they don't accomplish hardly anything if they're not aligned across the organization. And authority to align across the organization rests with the CEO, the board, et cetera. But you have to make that case, right? And so I think one thing is make sure, do not get yourself, try not to accept the terms of being successful as a marketing organization by a set of metrics that the marketing organization is measured on. You, particularly as a leader of the organization, have to assess your success across, as a member of the management team, driving a strategy across the organization. And so I just think if you don't set your feet at that level and earn that way up, and bring the receipts and show how all the business comes through at one point or another, the marketing machine, more and more with brand, because people are doing 80% of the time they're telling us when they're ready to buy. So take that on your shoulders. Think about your assignment that way and talk to the people in the organization that all have a stake in that and get aligned.
I love it. It's funny, the two strategies, I think the two approaches that we just described are parallel to MQL and ABN. So make the case to the decision maker so that we can get that organizational buy-in and drive the change. I have heard every salesperson I've ever talked to say that. And it works. It works so good. if you can get all of the access that you need, which Clark, you can. If you can get the access that you need, if you're actually working at that level, if you've got the salary and the title and the access and an organization that's small enough, and so the alternate, because that's a great strategy. No disrespect meant, Clark, at all, if it sounds that way. That's a great strategy if you
When
have the
people say
access.
no disrespect meant, the good part.
But like, you're so wrong, bro. So, no, again, like the classic MQL, like the classic sales strategy, that works if you have the access. For me, a lot of times I don't initially have the access. I'm an outside third party consultant that's brought in usually to solve very specific problems. And my whole world is solving impossible problems. So I get brought in and told, like, everybody else has got this unlocked. We have this one impossible thing that nobody's been able to crack, and we're going to let you solve that for us. And by the time I'm done, I'm plugged into an organization and I have access, and we are building these long-term relationships. That's how my business model works. And it is because in at least in my approach, it's all about listening. And this is where I think you said this at the end, Clark. It's all about listening and understanding what the other people throughout the organization are caring about. What does sales need in their leads, and why are they resisting that? I care what are the problems that they're facing that keep them from wanting to buy into this? Why does product have a hesitation about buying into this? Why does finance suddenly care, or compliance and legal suddenly care about what I'm doing in marketing? And when I take the time to truly ask the questions and listen to the other people in the organization and understand their points of view and their perspectives, and incorporate that into the way I am imagining marketing automation and the use of advanced technologies, and I am addressing those concerns, all of a sudden my adversarial players become champions of a shared agenda. And that takes work. Empathy and understanding takes work, but it is, in my opinion, that's the account-based version of internal change management.
Well, and I really like the context that you're setting up there, Phil, because the way that makes me think is how do you address these constraints, right? Because I'm sure you are brought all the time these over-constrained problems. Well, how do we do this? That's a very open question. You start telling, yeah, we tried that. That didn't work. No, Sue, she's not a fan of that. No, we don't have that kind of budget, et cetera. These are all constraints, right? If you have an over-constrained solution, you can't solve it anyway, right? And so there is the top-down sort of approach that I was talking about, but also what you're advocating, what I really like, is that at each of these constraints, there is an opportunity to influence without authority, right? Make your case, get aligned, right? But I think that to set yourself up for that, you need to be thinking again about the more of the end-to-end, a couple of clicks out in the scope of the problem you're trying to solve, and make sure, I mean, Jeff knows this, but whenever I measure a marketing organization, I want a currency sign in front of the main measurements, right? Everything else can build up to that, but if you're not bringing money into the organization, that's what the organization is built to do. So can you think about things in terms of how you're helping each of these constraints, the people sitting across the table on that constraint, address their business issues, just the way that you're talking about?
Making that a technology problem. And I want to emphasize this because this is a technology conversation, a marketing technology. I've never been a CTO, and I have no idea what the head of finance cares about, but ChatGPT does. And I can say, hey, my CTO is being an asshole right now. Can you help me understand what his problem is? And ChatGPT will say, it sounds like you're trying to do a good marketing thing and organize change management. And here are the 5 things you need to do, because technology is changing these conversations too.
We're laughing, but I bet you're 100% right. I bet if you plug that prompt in, it would give you a great answer.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Awesome.
I think one of the opportunities here for folks as well is to reframe these as marketing specific conversations and be thinking about them as go to market programs, right? And I've found that to be helpful in creating that alignment, both with sales, but when you talk about go to market, that brings in potentially product customer success. It drives the importance of some of these programs, but it also expands how we think about using marketing automation. It's not always just for this marketing campaign, this program. It expands into not only ABM, but like integrated go to market plays. Those get the attention of the CEO, of the finance leader. And when you start to talk in that language and think about the bigger impact to your go to market motion, that makes you talk about revenue, it makes you talk about pipeline, and it drives that alignment. And I found that to be really successful to level up the conversation around things like marketing automation into a more of a strategic program rather than a tactical, here's what we're going to use it for tomorrow or the next day. So we can, some things you can think about as you try to drive these conversations in your organization.
And you've got the stance to do this, right? Even if you're not particularly high in the organization. But the marketing organization should be the headlights on the business, right? Too often still marketing is sort of an execution machine hanging in a go-to-market, assembly that tries to do the number, right? But who more than marketing? I mean, you're talking to the customers, you're talking to the prospects, you're talking to the analysts, you're running A/B tests all the time on how you're communicating the organization out to the world, getting that feedback, right? In a world where intelligence is more and more required, artificial or otherwise, who has more signals to tease out intelligence, right? So you've got a right to be thinking about things at this level and talking to people at that level about what you're trying to accomplish with your marketing plan.
Absolutely. And I got to jump in with a shameless product plug here. Like, that's what we help you do. That's what marketing, we collect those signals. We can tell you the attribution of where those opportunities came from. We can assign it up to $1 pipeline figure, $1 revenue figure. The software is there to do that for you, to make that case, to align those signals, to put dollar signs in front of them, as Clark said, and you're 100% right. And to deliver these things to sales in a way that like, oh, wow, this is a great lead. And you've told me everything you've done. You've told me what topic they're interested in. You've shown me who else is in their company that's also doing stuff either, on your client's website or out in the internet. Sales gets that information and they're like, this is great. If you're used to a traditional sales where it's like, oh, here's a lead. But now you're giving them all of this information, you're going to be very happy. And that also kind of brings me to the second, less product-oriented piece, which is, Phil, you brought up, like, if you can align with sales and it's like, sales, what do you need? Do you need more leads? Do you need to enter a new market? Do you want us to point the marketing guns that direction? Do you let us work with you to help you with what you need? Marketing also is the content engine, we're the sales enablement engine, we're the brand engine, right? So we can align with sales and support sales, and sales definitely has the voice and the audience of the CEO, right? So if you're aligned, marketing is aligned with sales, you are a united front going into the rest of the organization.
Now, one of the things that you're talking about there, Jeff, that I assume we would all be in alignment on is that marketing and marketing automation and related technologies are now giving us an opportunity to create more and more touches with audiences over time, right? As we are thinking about, more and more of the buying journey is happening digitally, and we have to be, and you talked about brand having a real resurgence in the market, Clark, and needing to reach people on multiple channels. And in many cases, sales wants marketing to nurture audiences further down. They want them to reach multiple people in buying committees, in accounts. And as we do that, though, there's a real need for the messaging to be personalized. You talked about that, for it to feel natural, for it to feel real. Because if we want to get to the point where marketing is doing like what sales has always done, of having these ongoing quote unquote conversations with buyers, that needs to happen. And I want to use this as a chance to weave in a question that we got from one of our viewers, which is about the risk of over automation or AI making our communications feeling more robotic. And Jeff, maybe I'll toss that one to you of, from your experience, what do we need to think about to ensure that marketing automation feels more personal and intentional and conversational with our audiences rather than like feeling like robots talking to external folks?
Yeah, I love this, and I was all ready to jump in. So I'm glad you're asking me. I am, vociferously against using AI to just fully automate the engagement. Like these. I'm sorry for any offense I might offend anyone, but I might cause anyone. But like these automated AI BDR solutions, I'm like, no way. Why would you ever do that, right? Maybe some years down the road, it's going to get so good that they'll know exactly who they're talking to, and it'll be personalized and it'll feel real. And, the recipient will be getting all the information that they want just as they're thinking about it. And it'll be nirvana. Maybe might happen. Today, no, I don't want to take that human interaction out. AI should be used to deliver and help, give you insights and to make all those processes more efficient. It should not be used to make the decisions. It should not be used as the final voice in, what creative and what message is going to what target audience. So I fully believe that the more personal and the more relevant our marketing is, the better it will be. Just as Phil said, this, mass one-to-one communication is the nirvana. Absolutely. And I think AI can help us get there. But the human has to be involved in saying, hey, here is our message that we want to send. Like for us, we have a number of marketing topics that people come, email marketing and multi-touch marketing, and marketing automation is, of course, one of them, and, all sorts of stuff. And so we align our follow-up messages to those people. I think the classic thing is that you go and you get a lead and you say, hey, we're Acton, we're marketing automation. Can we sign you up for a demo?
Mm-hmm.
No, I'm at the very tip of the funnel. I just responded to some great content that you put out around email marketing or lead scoring or, website personalization. And you're asking me to sign up for a demo? No, give something to that recipient that is personalized and relevant to the conversation, and where you're giving value to them and you're not asking for them to sign up for a sales call, right? So I think that's where personalization has to go. And what AI is going to help us do is say, yeah, if we've got a dozen different topics and we're also segmented by, CMO level, director level, and, marketing manager level, and we're also segmented by finance industry and tech industry and manufacturing industry, we as marketers can decide what messages and creative and content goes to all those things. AI is going to help us be like, oh, now we can manage this for you. This is what AI is really good at. When somebody comes in and it matches those patterns, we will automatically send them that message. And that's what we're building in our marketing automation. So, it's a one hand, you kind of asked me two questions. One is like, yes, personalization, we should make it relevant. And you make it relevant by giving them information that they're interested in, not what you're interested in, what they're interested in. AI should not make that decision of what message and content and creative goes to them. You make the decision and you use AI to implement it. Is that enough of a soapbox? Anybody want? Sorry if I got there.
I really want to layer in on that. One, that program sounds extremely intelligently designed, Jeff.
It's because you designed it for me, Phil.
The thing I want to emphasize here, Jeff talks about this maybe future state where AI is sorting data based on these things. I don't have that. I don't know where that is right now. But everything that Jeff just articulated can be done today with technology that is available today. Like, this is the essence of modern marketing today. I can, if I've got the right application, I'm going to shamelessly plug Acton here. I'm not paid by Acton to be here. I don't work for Acton. I love Acton. Act-on segmentation tool, unrivaled in the marketplace, can define both on the demographic stuff we've always done, but can say, show me the people who went to these pages on my website, put them in an audience, and trigger automation. It can sort by scoring and route people to sales based on both score and other qualifying factors. Everything that we're dreaming of doing today can be made better by AI, can be made faster by AI, but is possible, accessible, and outlined in the onboarding guides today for modern technology. And so we're not dreaming about what's possible in these personalization conversations. This is the goal. This is what is the standard today for modern marketing and modern marketing companies.
Yeah. Thank you, Phil. You're absolutely right.
Yeah. And I think there's an interesting, at least today still, there is a little bit of a categorization between generative AI and a lot of the AI tools that we see out there. And generative AI is, I mean, it's so touchy, right? Because it's what actually touches that content is what actually touches the prospect or the customer. And there is still there's this uncanny valley that we're stuck in right now, right? Yeah, like when you go back and look at bad movie automation, like if you have kids of a certain age and want them to be up all night, show them the Polar Express with Tom Hanks from like 15 years ago. How creepy the dead-eyed, computerized characters in that movie. It's what I always think about when I read some of this AI generated content. So I think that there are great opportunities today. We talked about personalization. There's also translation, right? If you work with an organization that's global or in multiple geographies, there's a lot of things that, I think of it as stuff you would not maybe hire a full-time employee for, hire an agency for, stuff it hasn't made it up high enough on your list to go argue with the CFO for a head count, right? But it's stuff that, maybe it's a choke point in the business, or it's something you haven't gotten to that you want to experiment, et cetera. I think there are places where you take the stakes down a little bit, even on the generative side, and test some of that. But I think to the earlier conversation of, dear diary, dear ChatGPT, how do I talk to my CFO? I think there's opportunities to think about the orchestration of things end to end as well. But it's never gonna, never say never. But I think that one of the things that we haven't talked about that makes this, I think, even more important is that the percentage of people that are of prospects that are engaging and starting the purchase process from them to us just continues to climb. I mean, back in the olden days, it was like, 75% of the time, you don't even know they're in market. It's like 90% of the time. If you don't know Kerry Cunningham at Sixth Sense Research, he of the dearly departed Serious Decisions, you should. And he just put out some stats about this. So because of that, my point, and I do have one, is that all of this information that we're gathering and you're putting into an AI, at the end of the day, recordings and translations don't cover everything. You've still got to deeply understand your customer. And so there's, where we are today is there's a line, whether it's like you have to spit it out in a very human way, you have to be picking up the 28 signals of your conversation and know how to connect with that person, or you're having to figure out who else in the organization you should really be talking to, right? All the great reps know, like, holy, how did he know that, that this person needed to be, involved in the process so early? Those are all that's the gap that we're trying to close with AI. And there are folks out there building, great tools that are going to try to do that. But I think that's the context which went to think about when you're trying to figure out where to apply AI in each of these dimensions.
All right, we are coming up to our time, and I wanted to ask you all one last quick question before we wrap to try to bring a lot of these ideas together. And Jeff, I'm actually going to start with you. For the folks who are actually new to this conversation, who may not be leveraging marketing automation today, they're hearing all these great things that we know marketing automation can do in the space today, and some of the things that are coming, which frankly gets me even more excited with where we're at. I'd just love for you to maybe provide some guidance on, for those who aren't yet leveraging marketing automation, they're thinking about really diving in this year, how should they get started, and sort of what should they use as their jump off point?
Yeah. Let me see. I guess a few different vectors on which to ask this. Like, one, I would be remiss not to go back to our earlier conversation. Like, make sure you first know what your goals are and what you're trying to accomplish before you just start firing the gun out there. But if you're just getting into it, get into it. Roll up the sleeves and dive in. We make it easy. It's not as difficult as it might sound. Build your first email, build your first segment, test it to a friendly group, then build a campaign, maybe add some social media outreach, um, you know, build a landing page, and like just get in and start doing. It's not as hard as I think some people make it. If you do want the fast track and you've got like a big campaign, are you guys hearing the echo, or is that just me?
It's okay.
Yeah, a little bit.
Don't know what changed there. Sorry. If you do have a big campaign coming up and you want to take advantage of it and you want the full blown thing and don't have the resources, we work with a lot of agencies and marketing agencies that are there to help you. I can't think of anybody's name right now. But Phil, do you do this type of work for?
I do.
Phil's one of them. He's one of the best in the market. He is truly an expert at tactical marketing. We have others. This is what they do. So if you want to get started, I would strongly advise, like, just get in and start doing. It's not that hard. If you have a big project and you want to fast track, start with Phil. Start with one of our agencies. They can do it for you.
That's great. Well, and I can vouch for the fact that just get into it. Just start trying these things. Platforms like Acton are so user-friendly. You don't have to be thinking about this is going to be a massive project that we're going to need months to deploy. And we just start getting in there, feeling out these pieces of technology. And like you said, you can iteratively build programs.
I should add it. It is really powerful. There's a lot of stuff you can do in marketing automation. There's a lot of different components of it. But each individual one is not that complicated. You should just jump in and start playing.
Great. All right. In our last couple minutes here, Phil and Clark, I'd just like you to each maybe close out with your final thoughts on what marketers and leaders should be thinking about right now. What's the biggest thing that they can do to set themselves up for success as we look ahead at these evolutions in marketing automation and AI? So quick rapid fire. Phil, you're up first.
Intelligence. So I've got the echo now too, so I don't know where that's coming from. Market intelligence, always a thing, but personal intelligence. These marketing applications like Acton provide a layer of intelligence on the actions and activities that if you haven't done this, do not comprehend. And I promise you that's true. So go watch some demos, go watch some demo videos, but understand that in this modern marketing world, we have access to information that if you aren't seeing, if your sales team aren't seeing, you're going to lose to the competition. So this is not 2008 anymore. These are not optional technologies anymore. You have got to get caught up to the baseline, and that's critical priority number one.
Yeah, get in the pool, right? It might seem chilly, it might seem deep, but that's where the party is. And a lot of this is settled science, and not the AI stuff, but when you're talking about what Acton has built and some of the things that Jeff was taking us through, there are thousands of organizations and teams that have gone through this. And so if you haven't really waded into marketing automation, you're come on in, the water's fine, and you're going to see immediate benefit. And there's a huge, great ecosystem of very talented folks like Phil and his organization to bridge that for you. That's for sure. And then I think when it comes to AI, again, and automation in general, right? It's pointless to automate something that isn't aligned. So, think about what you're actually trying to get done. Think about the places where you're not getting stuff done that you wish you could. Think about a great project you weren't able to take on, or something that you may not just hadn't considered being able to optimize. AI is a real natural fit for all those without uprooting your entire process, without shaking up your entire organization.
Jump on in. The water is fine, folks. You heard it here. I hope your bingo cards are filled up. I also heard tranquility a little while ago, which was great. And I really, really enjoyed this conversation. I wish we had another 30 minutes to go, but we are at time. So I would love to thank Phil, Clark, and Jeff for sharing their ideas and perspectives here with us today, folks. Please jump in the chat and share your appreciation. Before we do go, I'd love for all of you watching and listening to do two quick things in addition to jumping in the pool and just starting to get your feet wet in both AI and automation. First is please check out the State of B2B Marketing Automation Analyst Report. We dropped the link in the chat. You can find it there. This is not just another ebook. This thing's packed with actionable insights that you can use to start transforming your marketing strategy today. I promise you, check it out. It is a really great report that is free to download. And secondly, if you haven't done so already, please connect with each of our speakers here today on LinkedIn. A great place to both follow what else they're sharing and feel free to follow up with them directly with any messages, with any questions that you have or thoughts as you go forward with your marketing automation journey. So with that, I'd like to thank you all for being a part of this conversation here today. We hope you enjoyed. We hope you enjoy the State of B2B Marketing Automation Report, and we look forward to seeing you at our next Innovation Fireside. Thank you again to all of our panelists. And until our next session, thank you very much, everybody, and let's go create some pipeline. Take care, everyone.
Thanks, Tyler. Great session.